Well, of all your panel members, the one that ought to be the most sympathetic to what the federal government's trying to do ought to be me, but I'm not. The agency's not. And it's because we find ourselves in somewhat the same position as you potentially will find yourself in dealing with the federal government and being dictated to go places that and do things that have no real benefit at all. I'm going to kind of lead off kind of what our primary concern is, and our focus has been predominantly out west. But then I'll bring it back home here to Jackson County because the same issues and the same lack of clarifying or defining what truly is a significant issue is what's going to snare us under this. Make no mistake about it. You can look at all the maps, and the maps are fine. It's not a matter of maps or what's a stream and so forth. It's a question of federal oversight. Kansas has got a strong history of having progressive authorities within KDHE, KDA, that we know how to deal with things when something's somewhat askew. When there's a movement or an off-site impact to someone downstream, we deal with it. We've got a long track record of being able to do it, and we do it under the name of compliance, not enforcement. We don't need a stick. We just work with people to try to correct actions that have had some off-site impact. That's the way we get things done. Federal government doesn't operate that way. They're first and foremost about set a rule, set a line, cross over it, get fined. Ryan mentions the threatened daily fine. And people say, well, federal government's not going to go after an individual for that, after that much money. Tell that to Lois Alt over in West Virginia, who rose up, bowed her back, and fought back at the EPA, and they backed down there. But they went after her in her feeding operation, not for something that is permitted under the Act, but because all of a sudden some staffer decided stormwater runoff off her land should have been regulated as well. So there's this aspect of overreach and getting into your business and disrupting your day-to-day operations. Forgive me, Ryan, I'm going to call it rhetoric from the Farm Bureau up there. That's all fine and well, but I don't think it'll happen for two reasons. I believe it or not, I don't think EPA is that stupid that they are going to do that. But more to the point, I don't think they believe that they will do that. I think they truly say, well, we never intend to do that. But you know what the road to hell is paved with. And there is such a thing as pilot error. Ryan's fear of, someday EPA or the Corps is going to appear at your door, that isn't going to happen. What you're going to get is a letter. This whole rule is all about making life easier for the federal government, where from their desktop they can make a call whether something's jurisdictional or not. And the way the rule is, pretty much everything's jurisdictional. That's where I get caught into the same bind as you potentially will. Go ahead, Ryan. It hovers on this notion of tributaries. We got water quality standards in the state. They address and apply and control the introduction of pollutants into them, into perennial streams, those that flow every day, year in, year out, and even intermittents, those that occasionally will go dry. But what we don't apply them to are the ephemeral streams, streams that will not flow unless a storm parks on top of it, rains, and then we see runoff generated from that. Again, out west, that's typically the rule of what's out there. But ephemeral is ephemeral, and we find them over here on the eastern side of the state as well. Those aren't to be subjected to the full force of the federal act. Now, they are waters of the state. And again, we have a very robust authority that allows us to do what's necessary to essentially protect those systems and the impacts that come off of activities associated with those systems from creating some environmental damage, some water quality impairment. We have all the tools necessary to do that. We don't need federal oversight to prod us into taking care of it. Would you flip back for a second? This notion of ephemeral, and again, ephemeral means it's dry unless it rains and it generates runoff. Not just a regulatory function that came off of KDHE. It's a statute. It's the law of the land. If this proposed rule comes forth, it will effectively neuter out the effect of what the state legislature has defined, the scope of where we're going to apply the full rigor of the act. It overrides that because all tributaries, all streams become jurisdictional. That notion of what the numbers that Greg laid out from, what was it, 30,000, 34,000, somewhere there, jumping up. Most of those new streams that get added on are ephemeral channels. They don't flow. We don't have enough resources to go run and try to chase that down. These are things you probably don't give much attention to either, except to potentially how if they're head cutting or something, how it affects your farm operations and so forth. We got bigger things to deal with. Certainly we do. Most of our action is central and eastern Kansas. The law gives us everything we need. It does define kind of where our line is. It also says that when situations change, like we do have some facility that discharges into something that wasn't on the original list of classified waters, and those classified waters are the ones that we would say are fishable and swimmable. And we apply numeric criteria. Remember, one thing about criteria, for typical farming operations, doesn't mean anything. You guys would be folded into what we would call non-point source. That's not regulated. That's different than the city of Holton discharging into Elm Creek. They got to get a permit to do that, and they got to adhere to numeric criteria to protect the designated uses that are attached to Elm Creek and on downstream to the Delaware River. It's a system that's worked pretty good for 40 years. And the law, while it says you can't include ephemerals, you can't include ditches, if we have some facility that starts discharging into it, with the exception of the large CAFOs, that folds it automatically into a classified water. The safeguard is there. There is no threat. Now you can flip it. EPA says not good enough. They want to protect all tributaries. Why is that? Well, first of all, they're framing in the context small order streams, those very, very first rivulets and coming together are ecologically very important, and they generally lack protection, and we need to do that, as well as the adjacent wetlands that are typically associated with some of those. So this notion of headwater streams is kind of, you'll hear it time and time again. But all our terminology is jumbled up. Headwater, intermittent, ephemeral, we have a tendency to talk past each other. We know what it is here in Kansas, and an intermittent stream is one you can count on. It's going to flow at least a portion of the year, every year. An ephemeral won't flow, again, until rain causes it to do so. EPA says we're not even going to get into that. We're taking that off the table. All you need is a bed, a bank, and a high water mark. And that's a channel. It's connected. It's part of the overall network. It's jurisdictional.